said my last video, but happy October. I hope everyone is having a great fall so far. Today I wanted to share a video about 10 things I wish I knew in college. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm in my 20s, mid-20s. I don't even know when I put these glasses on, like, I forgot I had them on. So I know, like, there's from the videos I watched when I was in college, there are many about people in college that are giving you tips on how to get all A's and everything, but I've graduated for 2 years now and still recall a lot of what happened 2 years ago when I was a senior in college, graduating and everything. So I wanted to give you tips now that I'm 2 years older, and having graduated from college 2 years ago. So I hope this helps give you a different perspective on things. I went to school in Atlanta, Georgia, and after I got into college, my family decided to move to another state. So yes, they abandoned me. So I was like, yes, they left. Just kidding again. So I ended up deciding to dorm. And well, that was originally my idea anyways, was to dorm, because I had a car senior year of high school, but I was a very incompetent driver, so I didn't think I could drive in Atlanta. So I was planning to dorm even though my parents were still in Georgia at the time, and then after I got into my dorm, they moved and I just went to school in lived in Georgia by myself while I was in college. So that's a little bit of a background on my living situation while in college. So essentially my car was never in Atlanta with me. I just walked everywhere, and if I ever needed to come back down from Atlanta, I would get a ride from someone. Okay, so my first tip. In college, before entering college, I just want you to know that high school does not define you. Or high school does not define you. High school did not define you now that you were in college or entering college. In high school, I wouldn't say that I was an idiot. I would just say I don't remember my thought process before I did anything. It's like all a blur. Like everything I did up into college was a blur, and I don't remember did I not think before I did anything? It's like I can't remember clearly why I did what I did in high school. So I wouldn't say I was an idiot or dumb, but I guess I just had a lot of other priorities, like, you know, like typical high school stuff that wasn't academic. I didn't have an academic mindset. It was mostly like personal, a personal mindset and things I wanted to do. So I slacked off in my studies a lot, and I graduated and everything, and you know, everything was great, but it's just I didn't graduate with the grades I wanted to in high school, and you know, I have a lot of regrets in that aspect. And so when I got to college, I was really nervous, but I was just happy to get into the school that I applied for, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna turn over a new leaf, or I'm gonna be better, and you know, get good grades in college. So I did it. I did my best, and yes, I procrastinated like many college students, and I could have done better in some classes here and there, but overall I did better than I did in high school, and I was really proud of that. And I saw this result my freshman year of college, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually doing well in college, even though I didn't do that awesome in high school. So I just want you to know that who you were in high school or how you did in high school does not define how you would do in college. You can always change. You can always do better than you did in high school, you know? Likewise, just because you did well in high school doesn't mean you would do well in college, because college is different for everyone, but you could probably wing it on a test in high school, you know, do your homework last minute and that will cut it. But in college, that might not always be the case with everything. So, you know, just staying on the bright side. High school does not define who you are. Number 2, you don't have to live with the same roommate every year in college. I made that mistake. I wouldn't say mistake, but I sort of found out that this acquaintance of mine in high school was also going to the same college, so we decided to be roommates, and you know, it was really great. It was really great at first, and everything was fine, and you know, we had some problems here and there, but it was just typical roommate problems. But eventually, at the end of second semester, it was obvious that we sort of had a fallout and weren't very close anymore, and it was probably obvious that we shouldn't have roomed together again. But you know, at the end of the semester, you're just kind of, you're feeling a little bit sad that the semester's almost over and you don't know who you should room with. And I guess I just let the thought of, I don't know, I got kind of sad about the semester ending, and we had memories together, so I was like, we decided to room together again for sophomore year. And that was a bad decision because we had a fallout the end of freshman year, so sophomore year we should have probably not roomed together again because it just got worse from there. And there were a lot of issues. So just because you've roomed with someone that you know one year doesn't mean you have to live with them again the next year. You know, do what you think is best, listen to your instincts, and don't be afraid to room with someone else that you don't know. It's college. It's gonna be okay, you know. So just know you don't have to live with the same roommate every year. If you feel like you don't want to live with the same roommate, listen to your gut and don't do it. Along with that, when you live with roommates, this is along like with number 2, sort of a side note. When you're living with roommates, don't be afraid to tell them if the AC is too cold, or you know, agree on a set degree for the AC to always be on. All of my dorms that I lived in had like a sort of contract you fill out with your roommates just so you're on the same page, but your roommates might tend to forget the agreements you had, so don't be afraid to tell them, hey, the AC is just too cold. Can we just agree on this temperature all the time? Or if you know they have friends over and their friends eat your stuff without asking, or you know they don't do the dishes, just let them know. Like for example, with me, during times where I really had to study, I would text all of my roommates in a group chat and be like, hey, could you please be quiet this week? I have a really important exam on Friday. So just don't be afraid to discuss things with your roommates. I mean, as long as you're reasonable, I don't think there's any reason that they should get mad at you. Okay. Number 3. So I did dorm for like 2.5 years. I know that sounds weird, but mid-junior year, I was like, why don't I just get an apartment with people that I know, like with my friends or my siblings? And I decided to do it, and I got some money back for it, and getting an apartment outside of Atlanta was actually cheaper than dorming every semester. I know it depends on where your college is, but just think about it. You know, dorming might not always be the option. Getting an apartment, I had money left over and everything. And it was nicer. I didn't have to check someone in every time. Dorming in Atlanta was kind of strict, and it was annoying every time someone came in or out. They had to get checked in with their ID, and we were only allotted a certain amount of check-ins every month. It was really annoying, and I loved the freedom I had in an apartment, and it cost less, and I had access to my friends and restaurants around me and places I liked every day. It's just the commute was a little bit annoying, but I got used to it. So just keep in mind, apartment might be better, but it might mean you have to commute. But dorming would have some more restrictions, but you have easier access to your classes. So take into consideration getting an apartment instead of a dorm. But that's also because I lived in a state by myself without family members. If your family lives in your state, I know you probably want to get the heck out of there, but maybe consider dorming for 1 year, and if that doesn't work out, just live with your family throughout college and commute. And then because college isn't the start of your life, after college there's a whole life out there that you can have. So even if you live with your family for 4 more years in college, after you graduate, then you could leave. You know, you'd save money, and you'd have leftover money to spend on other things. So just think about it. Take into consideration all of the factors before you set your mind on dorming. Number 4, be open-minded and kind. What I mean by this is, in college, mainly probably freshman year of college, I still sort of had this high school mindset. I thought I was actually thinking before doing stuff now, but I met some different people, and I was, we got along at first, but then I was so quick to cut them off, or so quick to decide if I like someone or not. Now that I'm older, or even junior, senior year of college, I realized that, that's not the mindset you should have. You should try to be open to meeting new people and not so quick to judge people. Just try to get rid of that high school cliquey mindset, just try to be more open and kind when you get to college. It's not high school anymore. You're meeting all these different types of people, and if you're so close-minded, how will you ever branch out and get to know the different people in the world, Be open to differences and disagreements. Don't be afraid to, be honest with others if they do something you don't like, and just have a kind mindset. Don't be so quick to judge and cut people off, and don't be so quick to decide you don't like someone without trying to get to know them or trying to be honest with them and upfront with them. I feel like freshman year I shouldn't have been so quick to decide to cut certain people off, or so quick to end my friendships with certain people. And now that I think about it, I really enjoyed some of the times I spent with those people, and just because of one incident or my immature thought process, I decided that I didn't want to hang out with them anymore, didn't want to get to know them anymore, and that really sucked. I could have made some long friendships with them if my mindset was more kind and I was more open and not stubborn. Number 5, don't be so relationship obsessed. Don't be so relationship obsessed. What I mean by this is I broke up with my boyfriend, and I broke up, or he broke up with me, something like that, in senior year of high school during the summer, and I was sad about it. And so when I got to freshman year of college, I thought about it all the time, and it brought me down, and I was so quick to look for another romance, and if you think about it, I was only like 18, 19 years old, thinking so much about romance and my old boyfriend and finding another lover. I just wasted time, I guess. It's not like wanting to fall in love or wanting to find someone is a waste of time, or even you might like someone, you might meet someone, a classmate you like or something, but what I'm trying to say is, like, there's so much more you could be thinking about besides that ex or finding a boyfriend. Don't be so stuck on this person or that person. Be open to possibly running into someone or meeting someone down the line that you're compatible with and that you like. Just go with the flow. Just do well and focus on doing what you want to do in college, what you want to get done in college. Join clubs you want to join, do well, work hard, play hard, all this other stuff. If you just focus on that breakup or that guy that, it's just, don't be so obsessed with getting in a relationship, or don't be so obsessed with love. I'd say, think bigger. Think you're in college. There's so many things you should be prioritized, like you should want to do, and think bigger than just that ex or that boy. Think, oh, he's cute, I could date him. I need to focus on school, internships. Just think of everything. Try to think of everything in a more broad perspective than just narrow and bring yourself down. Because now that ex that I was obsessing over in freshman year of college, I don't even think about anymore. All that time that I was wasting being so narrow-minded and sad didn't matter in my future at all. So try to think, in a few years this probably won't matter anymore, or try to think of the bigger picture in those cases. Don't be so love obsessed or relationship obsessed in college. So yeah, think of the bigger picture. Think of life after college. Think of what you need to do now in order to get that great job. Try your best to achieve what you want to achieve, to be successful, to do well in college. Join clubs and do whatever you want to do. And then if a relationship happens to come along the way, that's fine. Number 6, use to-do lists. So freshman year, even sophomore year, I was struggling a lot with my priorities and deadlines, but junior year, I started doing to-do lists, and to be honest, those helped me a lot. Even just writing down shower or grocery shopping, it just made me feel great to mark those off, and it really kept me on task. So I definitely recommend doing to-do lists if you're super nervous about what to start tackling when you're in college. You can have it as detailed or as minimal as you want, and just sort of use that to keep you on track. So I had a to-do list, and then I also had a calendar. And a tip I have for you is, instead of writing directly on your calendar with the pen, you can buy these really small strip tab sticky notes, and you can write your to-do list on there and stick it on the calendar, so if a deadline changes, you just move that sticky note instead of having to redo your whole block. If your calendar is big enough, you can use full or mini sticky notes instead of the tab sticky notes. But that's my little tip for you guys. So I had the calendar, and then I had my to-do list, and then I also had a planner. So whatever type of to-do list you need, do it. Number 7, figure out how to achieve your goals ahead of time. So in high school, I didn't do terrible, but I made some mistakes, some F-ups, and I wasn't able to get onto the honor. I wasn't able to graduate with honors in high school. So in college, I was like, I am gonna graduate with honors no matter what. So I figured out how to get into the honors college. I figured out how to maintain it so that when I graduated, I was able to get my honors cord. And so I had a separate counselor for in general, and then I also had an honors counselor. So I would go to my honors counselor. She was like, you need to take this amount of this amount of honors classes in order to graduate with honors. So I just kind of worked my schedule with honors classes in there, and on graduation day I got my honors cord, and I was able to achieve my goal. So I would recommend, if you want something, figure out freshman year how to get it, and just keep that in mind throughout all of your 4 years in college. Number 8. Don't be afraid to ask your professor what your final grade is. I have these. I'm telling you guys 10 things I wish I knew in college, because I wasn't perfect for sure in college, and there were classes that I found really difficult, and I can think of 2 right now. No, like 3 right now in particular that I found really difficult, and I had no idea if I was going to pass them. To be honest, or get that, or even just get that grade that I wanted, or pass them. And so when it came close to final grades coming out, I calculated everything, and I was like, okay, I'm like 1 point away from this grade. And I would email my professor and be like, hey, I calculated the grade myself. I saw that I'm going to get this. Could you please confirm for me? Or just like not begging them, but kind of asking them, what is your final grade gonna be? I just wanted to know, so that it's my last ounce of, like, my last sort of try to see what my grade is gonna be, see if there's anything I can do, but not so like force them, please, like, or beg them, please give me this, but just like, hey, I calculated my grade and this is what it looks like I'm gonna get. Can you please round it up to this for me, or whatever. And to be honest, every time I did that, they never responded, but every time I did that, I got the grade I wanted. So for example, hey, I calculated my grade and it shows up as an 89.7. Could you please let me know if I'm going to get an A minus, like, I'm only this whatever point away. And they never responded, but when my grades came out, I always got like that grade that I wanted. So maybe they read it, maybe they didn't, but there's no harm in emailing them one last time and asking what your final grade will be, but not beg them, not annoy them, but just your last attempt to see to ask them what your grade would be. And along with that, another thing I did was I always met with my professors at the end of the semester and sort of asked them what they thought my final grade would be. And many of them would be like, I don't know right now, I haven't calculated it yet. And I'd just be like, okay, thanks. Or I'd ask them whatever other questions I have, like, while I'm in that last meeting with them. And if they didn't know, it's fine. But if they knew, or they had a rough idea of what I was going to get, it really helped calm my nerves down. So I recommend emailing them or meeting with them at the end of the semester, because there's no harm in doing it, and it'll give you reassurance, and they'll remember you. So maybe when they're about to round up you from that one point, they'll think about you. So no guarantees, but no harm trying. That's my tip for you. Number 9, use your days off wisely. I don't not no classes are the same, but there are some classes that give you sort of freebies, like days off that you could use. Like, for instance, three absences per, like 3 absences per semester, or 3 tardies per semester, you know, something like that. So I had this class that allowed 5 absences per semester. Like, it could be a sick day, it could be you just don't want to come to class day, and you could use that. So no harm done. I mean, unless you had a test or something due that day that you had to turn in, but if it was just a regular day, you could miss it and it'd be fine. So, I mean, I had my off days and my great days. And in that class, I overslept, or I just knocked out, and I didn't do my homework. So during that class, I decided to go to the library and catch up on my homework, or do my homework, or study instead of going to that class. And I really think I used my time wisely. Instead of going to class, I was able to get my stuff done and really catch up with everything. And in the end, I got an A+ in that class. So I recommend using your free days wisely. Don't use it to slack off, but maybe you could use it to catch up on things that you're behind on. As long as it's a day where nothing is due and there's no exams, you have that little time slot off. If you use it wisely, I think you could really make it benefit you. Instead of a slack day, it's sort of a different type of productive day for you. So keep that in mind. Use those days off, free days, wisely. Number 10, read your syllabus. I feel like I've heard these when I was going through college videos in college. I would look through how to do better, or how to get all A's, and I feel like this was a tip many of them mentioned, and it's read your syllabus. Yes, to know what your textbook is, but also read your syllabus to see what the tardy policies and absence policies were, because I had a bad habit of coming to class late, but somehow I managed to work around it. Like 3 after 2 tardies, you minus 1 point or something. Just know how your tardies will affect you, know how your absences will affect your grade, and just read it and know what it is, know what the tardy policy is. Because I had this class where the professor changed midway, and at the end, when I had my final meet with my new professor that semester, I was like, hey, could you please let me know how my tardies will affect me? And I came late to that class so many times, but she opened the syllabus. We both looked at the syllabus, and there was no tardy policy, so she deducted 0 points from me because the tardy policy had no mention of tardies getting deducted from your grade. So I ended up getting 0 deductions for being tardy because the syllabus didn't mention it. On the other hand, if the syllabus was after 5 tardies you lose 1 letter grade or something, that would be different. So really read your syllabus for not just your textbook, but for those policies. Also, check your syllabus for due date. Of course, they'll have the due dates for everything on there, so you can pin your syllabus with a cork board to your wall, or you could write those. Go ahead and write all those due dates on your calendar. Go ahead and do that, just so you know everything that's coming up this semester. Just dissect your syllabus a little bit. Just pick out those key things, and I feel like that will be really beneficial for you. With this, I want to add, you don't have to buy your textbook right away. You see a textbook on the syllabus, you see a textbook required for that class online. You don't have to buy it right away unless you read a review or something and they're buy this textbook immediately. So I used Rate My Professor to see if the textbook was needed. I looked around and saw reviews on that class and that professor. If they don't mention anywhere in the review that the textbook is needed immediately, or the syllabus doesn't say it's urgently needed immediately, I would wait till maybe the first class or even the first week to decide if I want to get that textbook. Unless the textbook sells out really quickly or something, I don't think it's urgent for you to have to buy that textbook right away. I had classes where I bought it and I never even used it. So sort of use your judgment whether you want to buy that textbook right after you find out you need it. You could wait after the first day, the first week. You could never need it, never have to buy it, you know. So just think about that before you, like, think about that while you're looking at the syllabus and when you're deciding whether or not to buy your textbook or not. And that concludes my 10 things I wish I knew in college. It was sort of like also a 10 tips, but it's also things that I found out in college that I wish I knew beforehand. These would have really helped me, especially the be more open-minded and kind tip. I hope this video helped you, and good luck on all of your future endeavors, and have a great college experience, and be kind.